Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. You already know the reason why we're here. Patch 8 for Baldur's Gate 3 has finally been released, and with it comes a whole host of changes and upgrades and things that I know all of you are going to love. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and dive into those patch notes so you have an idea of everything that's available. Let me be clear right up front. The list is massive, and we are not going over the entire thing in this video. Instead, I've combed through the entire list and picked out the things that I feel like many of you would really appreciate knowing about, but I will leave a link down in the description so you can look through it for yourself and get an idea of some other things that you might really want to know about. Keep in mind this breakdown will be spoiler free. There's a small section towards the end that will contain just a couple of small spoilers, but otherwise this is all going to be general mechanics or things that most likely you already know via trailers. There are chapters down below, so you'll be able to avoid the spoiler section if you so choose. As I mentioned before, tomorrow we will do a live stream of Baldur's Gate 3 Patch 8, and it's gonna be Royal Rumble style. Anybody who wants to just tag in and jump in is more than welcome to do so. All you have to do is make sure that you have signed up on my Discord, because of course I'll be using Discord, so that we'll be able to talk back and forth with each other. And make sure, I believe we have to be friends on Steam in order for you to be able to join into my multiplayer section. So make sure you join, friended me on Steam as well. Slandered, of course, is the name. Otherwise, come one, come all. We'll love to be able to connect with all of you. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this list. If you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss any future content. First and foremost, let's talk about the things that you already knew were coming. Crossplay is now available, and this means players on the PC, Mac, Xbox, and PlayStation 5 will all be able to play together on this game. Now, to enable this option, you need to go into the options menu and then check the option that enables crossplay. And then when you go into multiplayer, there will be a crossplay tab where you can then set up your multiplayer lobby and then add different players using their name. Larian did release a video that walks you through these different steps as well. The players in the session together must be using the same mods, and if you have the incorrect mods, you're going to get a window informing you of what mods need to be installed or updated. Also keep in mind that console players are limited to 100 mods. So if you're on the PC and want to allow console players to play with you, you're going to have to keep things a little bit more restrained. Also keep in mind that a lot of these mods are going to need to be updated for patch 8. So on day 1, some of your favorite mods may or may not work, depending on whether or not the mod owner has been involved with patch 8 and has already had an opportunity to make sure their mod is properly up to date. So keep that in mind when you're spinning up patch 8 for the first time. This patch also comes with photo mode, which is going to be activated by either pressing both analog sticks if you're on console or by pressing F9 when you're on PC. It can also be enabled in your HUD minimap. While exploring or in combat, you can activate photo mode, and it's going to allow you to try different positions, poses, and facial animations. You don't have this level of flexibility during dialogues or cinematic scenes, but post-processing effects like color grading and stickers will be available. And similar to crossplay, Larian did release a video a few months ago walking through photo mode and how to use some of its different features. So if that's important to you, you might want to go ahead and check it out. Each playable class now has a new subclass, which comes with new abilities, animations, VFX, unique summons, powerful cantrips, and voice dialogue for the Oathbreaker Knight if you choose to play a paladin. I do plan to release a video after I've gotten a chance to try out all of these mechanics, ranking the different subclasses and telling you which ones I enjoy the most. For those people focused on modding, there is a toolkit update with this patch as well. It's going to allow partial level editing. You're going to be able to add or overwrite templates in existing levels, and the modding guidelines have been updated as well, along with a host of other changes you can check out in the patch notes linked in the description below. All right, so those are all the changes that we kind of already knew were going to happen. Now let's get into some of the things that will impact your game, but weren't necessarily telegraphed by Larian prior to this patch being released. Starting with gameplay. Neutral and friendly NPCs no longer become hostile when they walk into surfaces created during combat that trigger passives. So for example, if you are a lightning sorcerer and then combat ended and there was some water that was electrified, if a neutral NPC walked into it and became shocked, they would all of a sudden become hostile, which was very, very annoying. Definitely good to hear that that's been cleared up. Makes me even more excited about finally playing that type of character. Succeeding on a perception check causes the spotted item to ping on the minimap and be listed in the combat log. I love that change. Very, very similar to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and I think it really, really helps to hammer home how much perception is helping you during your playthrough, so definitely glad to see this. Scrolls and potions inside unlocked containers in your inventory can now be used when rolling dialogue checks. Very, very nice. Enemy NPCs will now kill unconscious players after they commit a crime. Remember folks, crime doesn't pay. The Summon Us item is no longer tradable. Greater invisibility stealth checks now get progressively harder in honor mode. Looting many items at once is several times faster and will no longer lock up the game. Your screen should no longer turn black for several seconds during multiplayer when a dialogue is interrupted by another player's action. You now must have a shovel in your inventory to start digging. Your ranger companions can now dash with actions and bonus actions. Throwing a healing potion at an ally as a rogue will no longer result in a sneak attack that kills the target. So for those of you who haven't tried to do this before, you can actually heal other characters in the game by throwing healing potions at them, but it was sometimes broken with a rogue. It would basically treat it as an attack and then trigger the sneak attacks that rogues are capable of. So definitely this is a cool change for those people who like using rogues quite a bit. Alfira will join your performance of Deluxe Edition songs. I don't think I've heard any of the Deluxe Edition songs. For those of you who have, let me know, are those songs any good? Do you like them? If you rest during the assault on Moonrise Towers, then Ketherick and company will be fully healed as well. And then finally, wild-shaped druids are no longer instantly arrested by the army of the Absolute during Act 2. Okay, so those are all the gameplay related changes that I felt like were impactful and that people will want to know about. Now let's go into scripting and user interface. Traders are now shown on the world map regardless of how far away you are from them. That is a fantastic change as far as I'm concerned. It was really annoying having to try to kind of remember where the various traders are located throughout the game. So really, really cool that you could just open up the map and automatically see where these people are located. Playtesters and devs who have worked on BG3 since release now have their names added in the credits. Jaheira no longer trades items at camp as though she's a merchant while she's still in your party. And the reason that they decided to change this is, my understanding is that sometimes that could cause weird interactions with her when she was in your party. And so they just decided to take away the functionality period. And now you can only trade with her when she's not actually a part of your party. You no longer need to interact with Nightsong and Isabel at the end of Act 2 to receive their Gather Your Allies ability. Hostile Last Night in Residence will become neutral again if the hostility was caused by an erroneous reaction to Manthara. Fixed an issue. Larian also fixed an issue where if Housen was your romance partner and you chose to go with him at the end of the game, during the epilogue, he would act as though you didn't. Obviously, that would be very upsetting for those of you who romanced him. Now let's go ahead and move forward into combat and balance. Ghouls and gas should no longer be able to paralyze drow characters. I've never understood why elves are considered to be immune to the paralyze effect from ghouls, but that is now finally carried over into BG3. Druid's Wild Strike now works with the War Priest's extra attack War Domain. So if you're a druid who multi-classes into Cleric and the War Domain, you can get access to the War Priest passive, which anytime you do an unarmed attack can give you an additional attack that you can use as a bonus action. But for druids, while they're in their wild forms, that synergy was not present. Now it should actually work, and you'll be able to get that bonus attack. Super powerful. Speaking of wild shapes, Tavern Brawler works with wild shapes in honor mode again. I hadn't played honor mode yet, so I didn't know that this was actually broken. Tavern Brawler is supposed to give an increase to the damage that you deal with unarmed strikes, so maybe that functionality was originally taken away in honor mode. If that's the case, it's definitely been brought back now. Uncanny Dodge will no longer trigger multiple times per round, and it cannot be used when your character is incapacitated. All Barbarian Wildheart Rages now give bonus damage to your offhand melee weapon as intended and deal improved damage past level 9. Eldritch Knights now use free attacks before their War Magic attack. So as an Eldritch Knight, you can get War Magic, which allows you to use a cantrip, and then you're going to be able to get an extra attack that can be used as a bonus action. Previously, this didn't work properly with the extra attacks you get as a fighter. Basically, the bonus extra attack would replace the extra attack that you were already supposed to get, and so it was not to your advantage to pick up War Magic. Looks like that's all been cleared up now, and you should get all the extra attacks you're supposed to, in addition to the bonus extra attack that you would get from War Magic. Elemental Weapon now allows you to use all damage types at all spell levels and has upcast benefits at levels 5 and 6. For those who are curious, this spell is specifically available for Paladins at level 9, and the Hexblade subclass from Warlock receives this spell as well, I believe at level 3. Alright, so that wraps up the majority of changes that I really wanted to go through. Of course, again, there's a massive list of things you can look at outside of this for bug fixes, performance enhancements, just about everything that you can think of. So I absolutely recommend, again, you go to that link in the description, check out what Larian has done. The last section I was going to go over is spoilers. There's just a couple of small spoilers. It's nothing crazy, but I thought some of you might be interested in this. If you are in a relationship with Gale when he sacrifices himself in the end game to defeat the Netherbrain, you will receive a tonally appropriate letter that was previously missing. I always thought that was such a cool option to have Gale sacrifice himself in order to save the world. Of course, there's the mid-game option that wipes out your party, but at the very end of the game, you get that option again, and this time, Gale will go up by himself. It doesn't wipe out your entire team, and it's an easy way to basically end the game. I'm not sure if that's an option in honor mode, if you can have Gale just go up and completely bypass that last fight so that you can ensure you get your dice skin. But definitely, regardless, it's a cool option, and now they've made it even a little bit more interesting. Minthara more reliably shows up at Moonrise Towers after being knocked out. So if you're playing as a good aligned character, but you still want to be able to recruit Minthara, you can actually knock her out before wiping out the rest of the goblin camp. and knocking her out by using non-lethal damage, to be clear. And then by doing that, when you finally leave the area and reach Moonrise Towers, she'll basically show up as if she failed to do what she was supposed to do and be judged, and she'll later on be available for you to recruit, even though you're good aligned and you didn't actually wipe out the tiefling. So it's a nice workaround if you want to have her as a character. However, there were some players who did this and then were still finding that the game had registered her as being dead, and consequently she wouldn't show up at the towers. Larian believes now that should happen much less often, if at all, and if you confirm that you've knocked her out properly, she should show up in Moonrise Towers as would be expected. All right, and that's it. That is my summary of the patch notes Larian provided. Patch 8, last major content update for Baldur's Gate 3. Man, obviously, this game has had an amazing run. It seems like we're just getting started. Patch 8 is going to give it a lot more legs on top of all the mods and incredible things going on with it. So I can't wait to dive back in. Hopefully, a lot of you are going to do the same with me. Once again, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe down below, hit that bell, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.